On the proposed blight, I assume, that's what everybody's here for. It's simple, it's 2.5 pages. Actually, I mean, personally, I guess, I mean, we aren't going to go out and look for trouble. We have complaints, the same addresses come up continually over the last few years. Honestly, I think it'll only affect a half a dozen to 10 addresses. And probably people that travel the township roads, you know of half of them at least. I mean, it's not that restrictive. It's just, I think it's worth a little effort to try to clean up our community. It's starting to infringe on the neighbors' value, I guess. I've had one call that they can't even get anybody to their house is for sale, and the neighbor's yard is full of stuff. I mean, more than stuff, not child playground stuff, junk, you know.
How will you choose how to enforce this? Because a large part of the code will affect 90% of us in this room negatively.
Yes.
Reading through the ordinance as shown.
What was your name?
Nate Keller.
I know in Boston, they've had one for years, and it's complaints usually. I mean, they're a supervisor. He's probably in his first term. He says he doesn't go out unless it's blatant. I mean, just on complaints.
But
And then he goes out and investigates, I guess. I mean,
so you only do enforcement on people who are complained about? Is that what I'm understanding?
that's where it could come from, yes.
Oh, where else?
I guess I'm still stumbling over your comment that it's gonna affect 90% of the room.
We've all got stuff sitting around.
Yeah.
Well, so do I, but it's not junk, is it?
I want to ask that same question because like, I have a spare vehicle that stays in my garage. My neighbor has 3 spare vehicles, I'm sorry, Rebecca Henges. So like my neighbors have 6 spare vehicles and a trash camper behind their house. So there's a point where you have some spare stuff or farmers have their equipment. The equipment and stuff like that does not apply to this blight ordinance.
It does in the ordinance. The ordinance says that.
You better read that.
You better read the law.
Better read through it.
Okay, well, let me reread that then, but I miss where that affects actual farming equipment.
Any motorized equipment stored outdoors.
Oh, it says junk vehicles, or if it's considered that it was not.
Read the definition of junk vehicle,
It says that it has to be not in use or not mobile.
or not licensed.
It says
Yes,
not
sir.
licensed for highway.
State your name, please.
My name's Rich Walker. I grew up here in the town, so I want to reminisce for just a second, and I will keep this brief, I promise. I just want to, and I probably missed some things because I just wrote this down quickly before I came down here tonight, but when I was a kid in this town, we had 2 churches. We had a coffee shop, a doctor's office, a school, a flea market, an insurance office, 3 service stations. I'm talking 3 full service stations. We've got Al now. You know, it's not really full service station, it's not a gas station. But anyway, we also had a body shop, a bar, the bank, a barber shop, plus a beauty salon, hardware store, grocery store, lumber yard, elevator, and we had ball tournaments and ball games all summer long. It was a pretty thriving little town. Now, some of this stuff has happened since some of y'all have been on our board. And I'm not gonna try and point fingers at anybody because, hey, small towns are kind of a dying breed around here. However, this stuff has happened on your watch, and I just want to point this out. We're down to 1 church, 1 gas station / party store, the grocery store is gone. We still have the bar, we have 1 garage. You know, thanks to Al, we still got, you know, we're talking about, well, I guess we got 2. We got breweries outside of town too, but, hardware store, you probably count that as a quarter of a business because they're not open most of the time. And I like to give my business to the local guys as much as I can. However, most of the time they're not open, quite honestly, when I need to go to the hardware store. So I'm forced to go into town. We still have the bank, the lumberyard, the elevator, and a beauty salon. The list got really short. Businesses have fled. I mean, there was places for people to work in our town. Okay, now, I don't know if this is a way to try to generate some revenue. This sounds like pretty steep fine, and I just, this is the problem that I have with this is that it opens the door. And once you open that door, you cannot, it's awful hard to close.
Yep.
Because all it's gonna take is a disgruntled neighbor. See, my birthday's in January, so I have a vehicle that's not registered sitting out behind my pole barn right now because it does not fit inside the pole barn. I've got a fairly large barn, larger than most, that most people are blessed with, but it still doesn't fit my RV. I don't have a license plate on that right now because I don't use it in the winter. I'm not gonna pay for a license plate all year long when I don't use it during the summer. So there's a blighted vehicle by definition right here. My neighbor calls and complains about it, but it's sitting outside, then I've got a problem. What do I do with the thing? I'm forced to sell it because I had no place to put it indoors. This is just a recipe for disaster if we allow this door to be open. I urge everybody to just say, nay.
Yep.
Thank you.
What was your name?
My name's Rich Boger again.
Thank you, Rich.
I grew up here right in town, so everybody recognize a lot of people. Yes, sir. Please, go ahead, too.
My name's Bill Mosey.
Oh, hi.
Hi. We've been conversing. And I have a few problems with that. There's several places going back in the minutes where Larry suggested that the ordinance be put on the website. And as of Tuesday, it still wasn't. And I don't quite understand why that communication wasn't given out. Fortunately, you did send me a copy, and I too have some real grave concerns about it. Mostly the first two sections, although I know others have concerns in the other sections as well. The vehicle section and the building material section are major stumbling points for me. But I guess going back to some of the other points, you passed this today. What happens 10 years from now when you're not on? And a new administrator comes in and says, this is the ordinance, you will comply. That's where the 90% of it's coming. So what's the guarantee today that that's not going to happen in the future? Thank you.
Is none. I mean, there's election every 4 years, yeah.
That should make your answer then.
Yep.
Al,
Alan Jackson. My question is, you'd made a comment a few minutes ago about that you have 6, 8, 10 places that have been complained about, you've had notification upon. Have any of you walked up, knocked on their door and talked to them to see if there's any resolution to this?
Nope.
I have not.
Why?
There's nothing, it'd just be a neighbor asking you to clean up.
If I wanted to hunt on your property, instead of going over and doing it, and I come up and knocked on the door and asked, is there a way we could, if you said no, okay, or maybe something over on this property, wouldn't that be a more upfront approach to, it's a small community, we all know each other around here, and half of us are related, to be honest. Come from a large family, been here a long time. You know, you come up and talk to me at the garage, and people come into the garage all the time. I'll work with anybody, but send me a letter in the mail telling me what I'm gonna do.
Yes, ma'am.
That's where I'm coming
Your
from.
name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer Hummel. And I am here to urge you to say no to, and that is, one of the reasons is, where is the line as far as what we have on our own property? We're not talking about in the village of Clarksville, we're talking about in the country. One of our rules is we will never live in town because we don't want those rules of what we can and can't have in our driveway. We are fortunate and we have a nice house, and I don't think our neighbors would complain about our upkeep, but we have a chicken coop that I sold all my chickens. And we took it off the side of our barn, but it's just sitting there in our driveway. That would be nice for. We have a car that's broken down that we're trying to decide whether to fix or to sell. There's another eyesore. We have one that was given to us that we hope to remodel someday, but until then, it's an eyesore. We get along with our neighbors right now, but like somebody else said, all they have to do is get upset at us, maybe our dog runs onto their property or whatever. They call and say, hey, here's some blight, I need you to go over there. I agree with the neighbors, I mean, we are a small community, we should be able to say, hey, you know, what can I do, is there something I can do to help you with this, because, you know, we're trying to sell our house, and, you know, can I take this scrapyard for you, can I put it in my barn, what can I do? I mean, small community, I feel like we should talk to them, especially if you say there's only 10 people, this affects all of us. And all of us could be getting called, well, I'm assuming that's why we're here, because we all have things, we have a lot of farm equipment, we have all these things that sit outside, but we live out in the country, and I feel like that is essentially our right to have our stuff on there. And I don't see, like, okay, this list is just getting so big, where does it stop, and where's our right as having 25 acres out of town as far as what we can have on it?
Yep. My name is Katie Hard. I agree with everything that's been said so far. And I also, I hear what you're saying, where there are properties that are problematic. And I acknowledge that, and that's not a good thing to have. But as someone back there said, there are better ways to resolve the issue than this. I'm not going to repeat what everyone else has said, but this is way expansive. This is opening the door to so much potential harm. And I just feel like there's a better way to do what you're trying to accomplish that doesn't pose a threat, for lack of better words, to 90% of the community. Thanks.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Adam MacArthur. I'm a new transplant here, but I've been reliably informed by my wife that the house that we're building is the one that she's going to die in. So we're going to be here for a while. I will tell you this. Last month, there were 3 people in this room that were visitors. The month before that, there was what, 3 to 5? The month before that, it was 3 to 5. The month before that, it was 3 to 5. And I can tell you, for all the people in this room, they're very angry and upset. This board has struggled for almost a year. How do we do something to get a result without upsetting people, without doing an overreach, but still accomplish something that is reasonable in expectation for our people that live in this township? Okay? So all the people that walked in here last second and are up in arms, I asked you, where is your pride and ownership? Where is your talking to your individual neighbors and saying, hey, how about having a little pride in yourself and in your place, okay? Now, I live on a 41-acre farm. I have farm implements, I have other things like that. I've got some stuff that's working, some stuff that's not. But guess what? I would submit to you that if any one of you knew where I lived and drove by my place, you wouldn't have a complaint, and neither would 90% of the other people that drive by. But there are some places around here, the second you drive by it, it's ridiculous, and it's over the top, and that's what they're struggling with, to try to find a way. Now, I guarantee you, if the result that they're looking for happened without having to have an ordinance, without having to put somebody on the spot to go and have to deal with that, nobody wants to be the bad guy here, I guarantee you. None of those 5 people sitting up there want to be the bad guy. But when I build my house, me personally, living in this township, and it really bothers me to say that, because I'm living here, because I'm your family, and it's the location, okay? It's not because I want to live in this township necessarily, because what I see around me, no pride and ownership. I was in the Marine Corps for almost 24 years. I would never let my property look the way some, and I stress a very small number, are letting their place look like.
I'm proud of my property. It's not the greatest looking, but I'm pretty happy with how hard work I put into my property.
I understand that, sir.
No,
and
no,
I
you
think
don't.
most of the people in this room agree and feel the same way. But there's a certain point in time where there is a significant number of people that start to say the same things over and over and over again. And then, okay, maybe we need to look at that. And that's all they've been doing for the last year, is maybe we need to look at that, figure it out.
Nobody wanted to spend any money sending something off to a lawyer to say, hey, how do townships do this so that they don't get everybody upset? It's not a huge tax burden, it doesn't bother a bunch of people, it's not an onerous thing, because we don't want government to get out of control. Do we?
Al's knock on the door would have taken care of that. Yes.
Fine, are you gonna throw people in jail for this?
Is that, no, no.
Fine them $250 a day.
Is it a tax?
Every day is an infraction.
Is it a tax lien?
When you start finding somebody that.
Sir, I'm not going to.
It's not a debate between the,
I'm not saying that it's you
sir,
personally.
it's not a
but you
debate
going
between
along
the,
with- What?
it's not a debate between, the public. Is you
I don't
speak
mean for it to
to
be
the
done.
board.
Well, what he's done, I just wanna say something with that.
Okay,
Number one, it doesn't say per day. Number two, it's a civil infraction, so you can't go to jail for a civil infraction.
It does say per day.
It does say per day.
that's the last, that's,
They won't send you to jail, but they'll
that's
take
after
your
the 30
property.
days or with
It's not a threat.
no progress being made.
I don't see per day anywhere
If this is draft 2, and we've struggled with it, this is a really short 2.5 page ordinance. I mean, the samples we had was twice this long, so, and we did the best that we could to make it easily read.
This young lady here was first before me, and then
Yeah, but
after
he's
that.
still going.
Adam, are you through, or?
I think the one thing that we need to keep in mind here, that board is not trying to make your life hard. They have, hey, you can laugh all you want. You can talk to me afterwards, you're gonna laugh to my face. I'm telling you that I've witnessed it for the last year.
Who's laughing at somebody?
This isn't a debate, right?
Address the chair.
I have seen the 5 of you struggle over this and try to do the right thing for the citizens of this community. That's what I'm gonna say. If anybody has a better idea, or would like to actually attend a meeting and have some say, welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Barbara Walters, and I kind of want to know what the ultimate goal of this ordinance would be. Is it monetary, that you're going to increase the land values, the real estate, you're going to bring more people in, then you're going to get more taxes? But myself, I believe that my property is my property, and I should be able to do what I want with it. The way the assessment is done of the property, I think is totally wrong, and I've had all of you, and I've been before the board presenting my case. And, you know, it is what it is. How people perceive things is very differently. Everybody's gonna have a different perception of what junk is, and, you know, you're trying to define things that maybe, you know, one person might think it's junk and it's a gem to somebody else. You know, it just is a matter of opinion. And I think if you're gonna put all these restraints on, we're losing our rights. We don't have any right to our property anymore. You might as well tell us what to build, when to build it. And the nice thing about Ione County and Campbell Township, we can come in here and we can build what we want. We can raise a family on a farm, and we can do what we want. And we don't have people telling us what to do, but you're gonna now do that. You know, and I can see all the real estate people putting pressure on the board, saying, yes, do this. Because real estate market's huge right now, and we can make a ton of money. If we can, you know, get these people to start selling this property and pick this stuff up, then you're gonna get more income for the township. But I don't think that's the way to do it. I think you have a lot of really, really good people in this town that are looking up for you to not do this. And let people live the way they want to.
Thank you. Nobody's approached the board from realtors or anything like that. What's been approached to us is people having a complaint, and we're trying to come up with a way to follow through and make it happen. You know, get things cleaned up. If somebody makes a complaint, we go out, we see, yes, obviously there's a mound of whatever that needs to be either behind a fence or something. It's not property tax value, it's not other things, it's the complaints that are coming in from the public for us to do something about it.
But don't you think that's gonna increase? I mean, I have friends in the real estate market, and they're pushing it. Yeah, they want that ordinance to go through. That ordinance goes through, they can, sell this, that property. I don't care what my neighbor does with their property. I'm paying the taxes that, the whole assessment program is screwed up. If anybody's ever wants to read how your place is assessed, the book's that thick. So you're gonna get assessed however and have your taxable value on your place because of their formula, which you need to be in algebra or geometry, go back to school to figure out how your land is assessed. It wasn't done how it was years ago. Remember that when you did comparables? Can't do that anymore. You can't go in the tax tribunal anymore without going in with a lawyer. And now you're gonna tell me what I can and cannot have on my property. You're taxing me already now that I don't even understand how you come up with the figures.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Hart, live off Darby. First of all, I want to thank you for your service officer for being here. I know that you guys are understaffed, but I appreciate all the work that you do in the community, and I want to thank you for that. Marine, I forgot your first name, Adam, I think? Yeah. Thank you for your service and what you did, whatever you did in the Marine Corps. I also am a veteran, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom. I lived in the city of Grand Rapids before I came here. A lot of ordinances around. I couldn't even build a 7x10 shed. Had a half acre, I lived on a dead end road. Nobody was around me, there was a park behind me. I wasn't gonna be infringing on anybody's property, but I couldn't build a bigger shed. So my wife and I decided, let's find a place to go to where we can use the land of which we're paying taxes for. So we came out to Clarksville. Came out here, saw the house that we liked, that would fit our purposes, and wow, what a dream it would be to have 12 acres of land. Not very much for some of you in here, might be a little bit more than others. Freedom, love it. Went to have a horse fence put on there, on the property line. I was like, wow, I don't have to have it 4 foot off or anything. Wow, my fence can be right on the property line. This is something new. We've got a government in this small township to where they're not going to infringe on my rights and I can actually use my land. That's a wonderful, beautiful thing. Love it. Now, I respect that you served, Adam, in the Marines, but because you don't necessarily want to live here, I would assume that you're probably one of the ones that's complaining, maybe on a neighbor or other people, because you don't like the way the people are treating their land, there's no sense of pride or whatever. What about those that can't take care of their land? Let's say things have accumulated. They have no family. Whatever it would be. It doesn't matter the reason. But your sense of pride being in the Marine Corps is a lot higher standard than anybody else around here. Now, we appreciate your service, but we don't need to have an opinion of, we don't take pride on what we have on our property because it's not kept to a Marine standard. So, okay, so instead of here, then I'll point to you, but it's not okay, remember. But I will say this. If this ordinance passes, I will try to do everything that I can to become part of this board come election day. My name will be out here. I will address everybody in Campbell Township and tell them it's secretive. I say secretive. I know it was posted on the township door or what have you. There wasn't any letters in the community of whom you serve. Nobody knew about this. Word of mouth, phone calls, Facebook, texting, whatever it is. This was a big surprise. This is under the table stuff. Where it's shocking a lot.
It's been discussed for 6 months at every board meeting, if you read the minutes.
Okay, where was the letter to everybody? Why not? But why not?
Pay for a lawyer, but not a letter to send?
Yeah, can pay for a lawyer, but not a letter. Come on. So what my point is, we came out, my family and I came out here to live in this wonderful community, of which I am glad I'm here, and I love it. But I'm telling you what, if I start feeling a squeeze on me, and I have nothing in my yard, so this isn't even about my property. I do take pride in my property because I'm able to do that. But if this ordinance passes with what's defined in this statement, on this ordinance, what's going to happen of John down the road who has a barn whose paint is flicking off? What happens if there's a sagging post in that barn to where it's still a sound structure, it's not going to fall, but that just sure looks dangerous, so we're going to have to go ahead and say, take care of that barn or get it fixed or we're going to fine you. You're going to have it demolished or so on and so forth. Where does it start? And it starts right here. And it's funny because my wife always said when we moved in here, I want to go to these town hall meetings. You know what? I should have took her advice. A lot of things I should have took her advice on, but I should have took her advice and going to these township meetings. I encourage all of us to, when there is a meeting, for us to come and be aware of what's going on. We're busy. We work. We have families. We might not get onto the website and find out what these last minutes were and so on and so forth. But I encourage all of us to go ahead, show up for these meetings, see what's going to happen. And if this does pass tonight, remember, there's an election that's going to come up. And I think the majority of this community does not want this ordinance. If there's two people upset about their neighbor, that should not justify the fact that all of us should be under the thumb of the local government because the minority are not happy. Let's stick with the majority here on what we all want as citizens. And remember, election's going to come up. If this passes, my name is Jeff Harth, and I will put myself on the ballot to where we can vote for those that will stand up for our individual rights and the citizens of Campbell Township. That's all I have to say.
I got something. Ma'am, missing the back. I've been out once.
My name is Jolene Boger. I have not been to these meetings, and yes, I do hear about my community, but we are busy, right? We work long hours and we have families. That does not. One of my questions is it sounds to me, listening, that there's a select few who have hoarder mentalities, perhaps, that it's not just a few things, it's a lot of stuff that is causing the problem. That's my best listening skills to what the issue is. I did hear that you got lawyers involved. Did you seek out how to address that mentality? Because if that's the mentality, a neighbor going to a neighbor, they're not going to, like you said, they're not going to be able to take care of it. They have other issues that's making that stuff stay in their yards. We need to address that issue. They need outside help in order to get their yards cleared up. The fee alone is probably, it will end up kicking them out of the community eventually. Someone will have to take care of their stuff. But small communities taking care of people, it's the hoarder mentality that would probably need to be addressed. And I don't know if we should seek that before doing an ordinance that would affect everybody. Maybe it's just seeking that or something. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, may I say just one other thing if you don't mind? I will vow, literally, that if there are any complaints for certain towns, or not towns, houses, I will go up to them to see if there's anything that I can do to help them. Would there be anybody else here that would help me to assist others? So if there's like two people, I mean, I would literally help my community. If I know that that was a problem to where we have just a select few that's complaining on a select few, I would rather go and spend my time helping them than having a whole ordinance shoved down my throat. So I'm just letting you know, if anyone knows the specific houses or individuals on where that complaint's at, I, with a loving heart, because I love this community, I would go and say, is there anything that I can do to help you? You know, I see that you're struggling with, you know, taking some care of stuff. I'm not judging you, but I would love to help. If you want to scrap some stuff, we'll get you the money. You won't even have to pay me anything. We can scrap some things for you, pick things up. We can build you the fence to block it, whatever it would be. But I would much rather volunteer and help my local community members rather than getting all this stuff shoved down our throats without really knowing about it. So is there anybody else that would help me, that would help the others that can't help themselves? Okay, so we do have quite a few, in my opinion, quite a few people that would really be willing to help those that can't help, possibly can't help themselves. So I'm asking you guys at the board here to vote no on this ordinance. And we won't make it public, but if you give me some of the names to where there is some blight problem, I will, no problem, I will go up and ask if I can help them to resolve that issue. So, okay. May I please ask that you will not vote on this ordinance tonight?
Jim, you have your hand up.
Jim Steele. Like probably the rest of the people, I haven't kept track of a lot of stuff. Seen this when I come down to pay my taxes. So you take a representative of how many people are here in the township, there's not a lot. You know, percentage-wise, is it because they didn't know? You know, if they knew what they've been here, should this be up for a vote, or why isn't it up for a vote instead of just 4 members taking the opinion of very low percentage of the people in the township to make a decision that's gonna affect everybody? It's- I don't know if you wanna say shame on them, they didn't keep in touch with the board to know what's going on, but if they don't know it, how can they react to it?
Yep.
Sir?
Kevin Hummel. I heard earlier a phrase said that maybe a fence is needed around people's stuff. Fences are needed, fences are wanted by neighbors possibly. It's not needed. And that's, I think, the misunderstanding here is that because you think something isn't pretty, doesn't mean that another person thinks it is pretty. People have a lot of pride in the things that they have on their property. Whether it's valuable to you is really irrelevant. What's mine is mine. I've got an old dilapidated 1969 Nova SS. I love it. It's rough. Someday, like my wife said, we'll fix it up, but it's ugly. It is. But I love it. Now, I'm sorry if my neighbor doesn't like that, I'll move it behind my back. But I like walking out in the morning and seeing it sitting there. It was my father's, all the way back from 1972, I believe. It's a big deal to me. I know that that's not specifically what this is about, but it certainly is in here, it could be.
Yep.
And it's considered a blight.
And it's considered a blight to certain people. So, that's my concern.
I'm new in here. Should you have the floor? No problem. Okay.
My name is Joe Fitzpatrick, and I've been to the meetings this year, most of them. So I've heard the discussions that you've had, talking about the ordinance, and then they were genuine, you can tell, just listening to people talk. They're not trying to grab money, they're just trying to address the problem. There's a few properties that have piles of couches, that type of thing, it's a problem. There's no enforcement method right now for them to deal with it. So when they get a call, there's really nothing that they can do about it. I read this tonight, and then a lot of it's open-ended, like they talk about with your car. A lot of things in there are just a little too open-ended, I think. And that's gotten a lot of people angry, and I can see why. They kind of on my building, this is white. That part doesn't make sense. So this would definitely need to be fine-tuned, in my opinion, before it was passed. But on the other hand, you do need some sort of enforcement. The first step, I love what you said. Volunteers, go talk to people, and he's made that comment in previous meetings. Nobody was here to hear it. But his first thing was, I'm gonna go out and talk to him and see if we can get something done. And then after that, it's a ticket. And nobody there wanted to take properties, nobody there cared about the money. Did you hear those conversations? I did. So I don't know exactly how this needs to be rewritten, but I think it does need to be rewritten, narrow down, define that blight, and the pile of couches, the pile of junk. And then you might have something that everybody can work with. And the first step, you nail it.
I would love to seriously help them. I mean, I worked for a company that did construction refuse service, dumpsters, so on and so forth. So if there are things like of what you're mentioning, God has blessed me, you know, with having the ability to help people, and I would more than likely use some of my personal funds to help those that can't get rid of those couches and so on and so
I'll
forth.
put the trailers.
So it's, I mean, literally, I'm up for that in a private setting. It'd be up to the board or the person that complains or the person that has the so-called blight. I would be more than happy to step on their front yard and say, hey, if there's something that you want to get rid of, I'll do it. You don't even got to pay for it. I'll do it. So.
Last thing I'd like to say is just everybody in the room is they need some way of enforcing this. When people won't let you come get that pile of couches, there's got to be some way to do something about it.
But that's their property.
For the neighbors.
That's right.
Okay. Well, Perry Hummel, there's a difference in telling somebody they can have something and telling them you're gonna take it away from them. I mean, it's in their yard, they pay their taxes, they live there. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like saying that the Mona Lisa is worth a bazillion dollars. To me, it ain't worth shit. I don't care nothing about that. So, I mean, tit for tat.
That was my point.
Well, does it?
That is reality.
And that's what you're looking at, bottom line is $1. Are you selling your house?
No, because you also have to, honestly, this is, I know it's supposed to address the board, but
I know.
honestly, it is, you have to also consider issues like rodents and communicable diseases.
Well,
by
that's
carrier
different, now
animals.
you're talking
Well,
about.
that's what I'm saying, because if you have a pile of couches, those are gonna be lived in by
You got
rodents.
stuff like that, you got animals, that I know.
Exactly, so we have to, at some point, we have to put a rational cap on.
But is anybody gonna talk to these people, or are we just threatening to fine them? When they don't have the money to pay in the first place, and they probably aren't going to begin with.
I understand that, but we have to have, you have to have something.
What difference does it make? If you send them 100 letters, tell them that you're gonna fine them, they don't pay,
Sir,
and they're not gonna pay. I mean, that's all I'm going.
woman in the back row.
I just want to say, I'm Jennifer Call. I want to say more than that. I just think that my right to have whatever I want in my yard without any repercussions outweighs, that's why I live in the country. You know, if somebody wants to have stuff there, if they want to get rid of it and it's bothering somebody, let's all go ask them. We can help. It's not hard to help. But I would rather be annoyed by something in somebody's yard than give up the right for them to have that in their yard.
Amen.
Anybody else for, yes, sir?
Len Wall, just an observation, listening to everybody. I think that there is justifiable argument on the rodent problem. And so if an ordinance defines that there is a rodent problem that's not being addressed, certainly that should be written into an ordinance because that can affect neighbors perhaps.
Certainly.
I love the idea of neighbors helping neighbors. And it seems to me that that solution brings the community together. This kind of divides and gets people into pissing contests. And everybody, as he pointed out with the Mona Lisa, everybody has their own definition of value. I get that. So it really seems, if you boil it all down, what I'm hearing the issue is dispute resolution, where one person thinks this and another person thinks that. That's what it comes down to. And you're in a tough spot because some people are unhappy about it being this way and some people are being unhappy about the other. So I don't envy you. Tough spot to be in. Again, beyond the rodent issue though, it's up to you on how you deal with it, but you're in a tough spot.
Anybody else for first time yet? Guy there, yeah.
Yeah, my name is Paul Richardson, and I own the snowmobile salvage area outside the park on Elm Road. The reason we moved here was because Ione County does not have county zoning, and Campbell Township does not have township zoning. So we basically invested several $100,000 renovating the property, building a shop. We currently have 200 unregistered motor vehicles on our property that are part of our salvage operation, and they're all neatly organized, but definitely in opposition to the blight ordinance. So at $500 a day on additional occurrences, I'd be out of business, with one complaint from my neighbors. At this point, we believe a blight ordinance is township zoning, and it should be treated with the seriousness of enacted township zoning, not just as an arbitrary ordinance. Also, as a business owner, I don't see how I could comply logistically at this point. We're in our busy season in the winter. 30 days compliance, again, I'd be out of business. I don't have a minute of the day. I work morning till night, and a lot of nights I miss a lot of seeing my kids. I get letters in the mail from the state, from the federal government, just seeking to regulate every aspect of my business. So there's just no way for a business owner to reconcile this ordinance with remaining in Campbell Township. I'd also like to say that our business contributes to the local economy. In my opinion, when we detract from the value of the local economy, we directly spend in Clarksville $25,000 to $40,000 a year between the post office, the gas station, the restaurant. Our customers, we get about 2,000 to 3,000 customers a year from out of state, out of town. They buy gas at the gas station. You know, they might buy food in Clarksville. So yeah, if it is about money, you know, I think the net effect would be detrimental to the community. And then lastly, I'd like to just point out that West Michigan has fostered a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. We're one of the few places in the country that has a high success rate for businesses, and it's because of our lack of regulation and oversight. So there are a lot of other places that people can go to find that besides West Michigan. Okay, I'm sorry, I lied. There's one more thing. The compliance cost, I guess, as a business owner, I could deduct it, I could write it off, but the money would still have to come from somewhere. If I build a 7-foot fence around my property, or if I excavate my property to a level where it's low enough to be concealed by a 7-foot fence, would that come out of my separate retirement plan, my kid's education account? You know, it's going to come from somewhere. I don't have piles of extra money sitting around that I don't have a plan for. It's going to come, you know, from something else to pay for the fence and whatever. So, thank you.
Any other first time speakers? Yes, sir.
Lucas Drury. I agree with everything Paul was just saying about, I own Drury Diesel Service just outside of town. I'm not in the village jurisdiction, but obviously I'm still in Campbell Township. It sounds like we're all kind of on the same page. It affects everybody in a certain angle. My business is also where I live, so it's kind of on both sides. You say this was put together using some kind of a lawyer format. I think it's the vagueness of how this is written is what gets most of all of us. I think I'm going to speak for everybody about how bent out of shape everybody's getting, because the way it's written, it's kind of like an imaginary line, really. And like many of you have already said, it opens the door to the unknown. Yeah, this could get really bad. It could just affect a few people, and you know, life goes on. But I'm kind of on the agricultural side. I'm on the business side. I do diesel pickup repair. That's what I specialize in. I have trucks trailered in day and night, year round. A lot of them are competition trucks. They're not licensed. They're not. Some of them not even registered in Michigan. Some of them, you know, they might be worth $20,000, $30,000. I have trucks in there that are worth way over $100,000. People bring them in. We do specialized work to it that people in this area don't do. So it's kind of hits home for me in a way it wouldn't a lot of other people, just because of the volume. Sometimes I have 10 trucks out there, and this is road frontage I'm talking about. Because my shop, I mean, it's literally only like maybe 90 foot from the road. So even if I put a 15-foot fence up, it probably still wouldn't cover everything. Sometimes, you know, we're kind of slowing down to the slower season. When competition season starts up in the spring, you know, we could have 30, 35 trucks out there, 20 foot from the road. I mean, how is that going to, you know, like a lot of you said, one person gets bent out of shape because, you know, some trucks that come in there are a little on the rusty side, no plate on it. You know, somebody's going to come out and knock on my door and be like, well, 10 days, man. Better get this cleaned up. So I think it's the vagueness of how this is written. It could cause an ungodly amount of destruction for this town. And the way that a lot of us are thinking this is gonna go, it will drive business out of this township, out of this county. And like a lot of you said, Ionia County, this is where businesses from the area are pouring into, because I came from Keck County, so a lot of you know how those guys have rules and regulations, and I understand where you guys are coming from. You know, you got people been out of shape, well, how someone's front yard looks, I get that, but it should be a little more finely written in detail on who and how that affects. So, you know, this is vaguely said, okay, unplated vehicles, you're subject to, you know, possible discipline in the future. And like someone else said, you know, when you guys are out of office and someone new comes in and they really don't like, you know, the way your flower pot looks in your front yard, you know, how does that, there's no uncertainty of it. So that's why I said maybe this could be refined a lot better and kind of funneled towards the actual problem, rather than just do a blanket set of rules and regulations, and it just cripples all these business owners, farms, regular landowners. You know, this will blow out of proportion the way it's written right now. I'm telling you right now. I came from Keck County. This is going down a bad road. If you want to see, you know, flourishing, you know, more businesses here, I mean, look down Main Street. I mean, we could use a little more, you know, money pouring in here. Let's get some people in here to spruce the place up, get some more business going. That's how it works. That's how local commerce works. This will destroy that. And not in the next 10 years, like if this goes through and it goes the way it's going, Campbell Township is not looking good as far as business-wise. And it goes on a personal level, like I said. It really needs to be worded differently and be more defined on who it's going to affect, how. Several of you have said how who's going to decide what's junk, what's good upkeep, who's going to decide that? You know, if it's just going to be people making a big deal about somebody's front yard, okay. Is it going to be, well, certain, we'll say, people who are in that kind of standing in power say, yeah, we don't like the way your front yard looks, so guess what? You better clean up or we're gonna kick you out of here. And like I said, people will just leave. You know, they're not gonna put up with you know, a bunch of rules over, you know, a couple properties that are, you know, obviously could use some TLC, sure, you know. There's plenty of people that said, have already spoke up and said they would help, but yeah, I think this could definitely be reworded and redirected to the actual root cause of the problem, rather than, I think that's what most of us here are fearing, is that once you get the foot in the door of, you know, what people, you know, the board's going to be putting that kind of power to say, yes, you can and cannot have this or that in your front yard, it'll just go crazy. So that's all I have to say about this.
Anybody else new? Amy?
Hi, Amy Byers. I just want to offer more, rather than an opinion, just some suggestions, especially listening to what's going on. This is not exactly what I'm here for today, so I was just here to come to the meeting. I wasn't really paying attention to this ordinance, but first thing I do want to say is that everybody will be happy to know that there are some new businesses coming into town, so we will hopefully be flourishing a little more. We have Dollar General and multi-family housing unit coming real soon into the area, so we will have some new businesses. Hopefully that will continue, but I just want to suggest that there has been some success maybe holding a separate township meeting that's only geared towards looking at, you know, residents' opinions on these kinds of things, so it could be narrowed down and maybe even have the attorney present so that, you know, they could all be condensed into something that maybe could be a compromise to clean things up as well as not make it so open-ended, put the actual specifics into it, and maybe even include, as suggested today, a blight elimination committee as step one rather than the notice with the time limit of 30 days to fix it of, could this crew, you know, it could be just a volunteer crew that you have as a community working together as step one to see if it can be cleaned up and remedied that way before you ever get to these other steps. So those are just suggestions of things that can be done. Just because this is on the agenda doesn't mean it has to be a yes or no today. It can still be postponed and have a meeting. And I did want to commend you guys too for putting up a website. I think that was definitely something that needed to happen. And I do think that a lot of people weren't attending because they didn't know what was going on. And I think if the word gets out, more and more people would come and be involved in things before stuff like this happens. So, just suggestions.
Jim. Or, excuse me, I called. Me. I'm looking at Jim Thole again.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
That's cold. My name's Dave Newman. I own Dave's Dry Dock, just south of town here. And some of the things that do concern me too with this ordinance, the way it's written, as others have pointed out here. I have probably 30 boats that are unregistered right now. And that would be in violation. Those boats won't be going anywhere for probably 6 months. Again, as Paul's pointed out, I'd be out of business. We don't want to run businesses out of this area. I do think that there is some issues. I've seen some places that I don't approve of. I'm guessing there's people that have seen drive through past my place and said the same thing. Why does he have the Smurf Village out there? I do that because my wife doesn't like the blue and I don't like the white. I do think there are some places. I think maybe the ordinance could be, ordinance could be written to take care of the health and safety issues. I think that's more of what we're worried about. Of taking care of the places that I've seen. We don't want all the 8,000 rats running around, breeding, as they say, breeding like rats, and bringing more health issues. Is there some way we can look at this as a different type of ordinance, not just a quote blight ordinance, because that is pretty vague of how it's written, and more towards a health and safety ordinance. The other thing I'd like to say is shame on everybody, and myself, because I haven't been here either. And we do need to, and show how we care for our township. Did everybody make it to get a cup of coffee today? They have time to make it to come to a board meeting once a month. These 5 people up front here have been elected by us to help us get through the things we need to do, whether it's this, other issues that we need to take care of. We need to support them also by showing them what we want for a village, not just showing up the one time that everybody's upset. I also found out about this just today off a Facebook post and somebody who called me. But again, shame on us for not being here at least a couple times a year to see what's going on in our township. Because again, I'm just as guilty. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else for the first time? Bonnie? Or Philip? Go ahead.
The village has a cleanup day, and we used to have recycle around here. Maybe we need a township cleanup day. You know, I'm sure the first time would be, there'd be a lot of stuff coming. And that township cleanup day would not have to be just bring it one place. It could be like this guy says, here, help your neighbor clean up something. But it could be publicized in the local paper, and I think you could do a lot. Because I see some of those places that you're talking about when I go down the road. Some neighbor needs to work with that neighbor.
Bonnie?
Bonnie Cron, I'm not guilty. I come to almost every meeting. Not guilty. I think that good law should apply to everyone in the fact that you can't count on the fact that your neighbor's not gonna complain about something. If it's in here and it's passed, you're at risk.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that what you need to aim for, something like what other people have said, is gross neglect, health issues. Yeah, I'm a junkie too, there, hopefully you haven't seen it, but there's stuff in here that the everyday guy, that's why you have such a big group tonight, is because they said, oh, that could hit me, ooh, that could hit me. I can't count on the fact that the board says, well, if nobody complains about you, you're good.
Right.
If it's written into the law,
It's the
then
law.
it can be applied on myself as well. So it does go a little deep. And part of the reason for that is because it came from a lawyer in Lansing, and it's city-based. It's not country. So that's all I have to say.
Randy?
Randy, well, I'd like to talk about section 2, paragraph B. That would affect, it could affect the lumberyard in a pretty negative way, because we do stock all that stuff. It would just be to someone's opinion on how it looks outside.
Yeah.
I think we could do a little bit better with the wording of it, I guess. Good stuff.
Anybody else for the first speaking? Open it up to anybody that has spoken before, if you'd like. Jim, there's a woman behind you.
Hi, Jim McCall. I just want to say, you're really opening up a Pandora's box, because if I got a letter saying something's wrong, you know what? I'm going to look around and see who else has got this, because if you're coming after me, you have to go after them too. And it's going to go around like that. And you're going to lose your community.
My question is, okay, you said you had half a dozen to 10 people approach you about this. The complaint they had is that, excesses of unregistered vehicles sitting in the yard, or you drive down and you see this place where there's old couches, mattresses, just plain trash, out there. What is the complaint? This is the broadest covering everything, but what was the main focus? Is it a place where people are just plain trash? Garbage bags full of old clothes or whatever. I drove down the road and I've seen them, and it's disgusting.
Is just a yard full of stuff, yeah, I mean, assortment from A to Z. I mean, there's 3 or 4 that come up. I mean, every time somebody comes in to pay their property tax, like you did the other day, it'll get mentioned that,
It isn't so much that, well, he's got 3, 4 old pieces of farm machinery sitting out there, he's got 2, 3 more cars. It's basically plain, it looks like a dump, where you go dump your trash.
We'll address that.
Yeah, I understand that, and that private part does need to be addressed. Where you draw the fine line, yeah, it's a little extensive here.
Adam MacArthur again. So, from what I've been hearing tonight, it would appear that there is a significant concern about protecting the businesses in the area. So that's certainly something that probably needs a carve-out exemption or something to that effect. There is certainly an issue where people do not want to be infringed upon because of what they consider to be their discretion, their personal freedoms, which I think is appropriate. And I would be the first one to agree with every one of you on that. I have also heard many other comments around the room of, hey, even the people that are not happy about this, they still know there's a line somewhere. Where does that line get drawn? They need help identifying that, okay? And if it's a health and safety thing, where we know, no kidding, hey, plague and pestilence type stuff, you leave a sofa in the front yard for 6 months, that's not ever getting used again. Okay, so that's what they're asking for. That's the feedback that you have provided in a unique way. Thank you for showing up tonight. but I think they need that feedback. And I think a written comment card with, hey, here's what I think is appropriate, here's where I think the line is where we shouldn't mess with that. I think that is feedback that would be very constructive to the board. Does anybody disagree with that?
No, I agree with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Nate Keller. So I grew up back east. I'm a relatively new guy out here. I came out specifically to get away from owners' regulations on property because I saw firsthand what this does to people, okay? 20, 30 years ago back east, they've had these regulations come in just like it happens tonight because somebody got upset. They didn't like what their neighbor was doing. Instead of helping him, well, they just go to the township and make township do their dirty work, okay? That has a negative effect on quite a few people, not just small businesses, but the low-income people who maybe don't have a registered business, but everyone's got a side hustle going on. Jen's selling oils, someone's working on vehicles, someone's doing carpentry work. Sorry, Jen, I didn't mean to single you out. But the point is, I saw young guys who can't learn vehicles because they get in trouble for, you got a project car sitting out in the driveway. So these guys have no incentive to learn how to fix this car because they're not allowed to. Small businesses, carpenters, they can't stockpile any materials because neighbor Fred thinks it's junk, okay? Old people, maybe they made some bad decisions, maybe they're accumulating junk, maybe they can't keep up on it, okay? But these regulations do nothing more than to hurt the lower income, elderly or disabled type of people. The families, the people who really need that side hustle, the people who just want to live their lives and have their own property and do whatever they want. It's no one else's business, okay? Why is that on me to tell you how to do anything with your property? I saw how that takes, it like knocks a certain class of people out and it stratifies these socioeconomic levels where you have the people who can afford to have nice houses and take pride in their property. Well, so do these low income people. They just don't have the funds to dump in $30,000 of landscaping or $300,000 on a house. Mm-hmm. They still take pride in what they earned. They worked hard to get where they did. Now we want to tell them that they got crap? I'm done.
Alan?
Al Jackson, can you explain to me, if a person owns a house on a piece of property that's worth $300,000 and a person next door has a small trailer and has a bunch of stuff in it, how one takes away from the other in the tax value? You're not taxing both pieces as one, you're doing it as the house and the construction and the size of and through the limitations. So, in what does that house next door have to do with assessment?
On the assessment, I'm not the assessor, but probably none. It'll be in the value of the perceived value of the house to a potential buyer.
Even if the yard was cleaned up, a house trailer is only worth X amount of dollars for the age and the size of piece of property that's on. What does that bear against that $300,000 house next to it? I've heard this comment 3 or 4 times about tax assessment values. What does that have to do with it?
It doesn't, each property is assessed individually. It just on the perceived value when it's up for sale. I mean, that would be where the money would. I mean, the value might be lowered.
Well, assessment is made up for tax purposes only. It has nothing to do with the value of the house and what you sell it for.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Jen Hummel. Yeah, I think if they're not talking about assessed value, they're talking about when they go to sell, and the realtor's like, well, location, right? That's where they're talking about. Some of the few people here are talking about the value coming down is because of when the potential buyers come to look at the home, what they are going to see. My thing is, put up a fence, plant trees, whatever, But aside from that as well, as far as real estate goes, if we we're looking now to buy, and we knew this ordinance was here, we would not buy here. Now, I'm not advocating for our people here because I love it to be a small farm, community. I don't want a whole influx of people, but that is good for when people are selling and they were buying. Like I said, we would not purchase here if we knew this ordinance was here. We specifically look when we're looking at real estate to make sure that they do not have any of these ordinances. If we are doing a construction project inside, we have materials laying out front, we don't want to worry about somebody who's complaining about our noise of drilling, saying, well, you can't have all this stuff out here, or we want to build a tree house for our kids or whatever. So we specifically, as a real estate, we bought 20 houses. This is one thing that we make sure that our communities do not have.
I would reiterate that. We would not be here either if this ordinance had been in place 10 years ago.
I concur.
Sir, in the back.
Yeah, keep it fast. I worked on the other side of Morrison Lake in Boston Township. They have a blight ordinance. Customer I was working for was an old man, didn't have nothing better to do. His next door neighbor had 2 cars and a skid steer. He complained every day. I was working there for about 3 or 4 months. Complaining. They made that guy, for 2 cars and a skid steer, put up a fence all the way around his house. And it wasn't trash, it wasn't garbage, it wasn't nothing. That's what concerns me.
Right.
I have an excavator in my yard. I have steel panels, vinyl panels, and a bunch of other stuff that relates to seawalls in the construction business. I don't want my next door neighbor, because he's pissed off at me calling the township every day, and you guys make me put up a fence around 10 acres because the one neighbor doesn't like the way my property looks. That's what concerns me about it. Because, it goes off the guys that said with the complaints, so.
Ma'am, yeah. I'll get you next, Kyle.
All right.
We have a friend in Boston Township who runs an auto salvage business. And he was required by the township to put up a fence. So he got the specification from them and he built the fence. Gave the materials, built it himself with time he didn't have. When it was finished, the township sent out a police officer to check. And the police officer said, I can still see it if I go up the hill. And you have neighbors up this hill. So this needs to be covered where the neighbors can't see it. So all of that time and material cost was lost. He put up another fence to the new specifications. The same thing happened again. He ended up paying and spending his time building 3 fences to comply. If that happened to us, it would put us out of business and probably cause us to leave for a community that allowed us to have freedom on our own property. So I really would urge you, if you are going to consider a blight ordinance, to really carefully consider how it will affect the community, the businesses especially, because we need the businesses to be a thriving community. Thank you.
Kyle.
Okay, the term junk shall include parts of machinery. Okay, my neighbor's house across the road is for sale right now. Neighbors I got now are great. New ones move in, then what? They don't like the equipment sitting across the road. Where does that line stop?
It doesn't.
In what paragraph? I guess I'm not going to debate with you, Kyle, but
It's in C, and I'm not.
Oh, the storage.
Fingers, but, I mean, I drove by your place today.
And we do know where they can live, the public records for their
Worn out
addresses.
stuff, here and there. We need to define this a little bit more.
Somebody raised their hand back in there. Yes, ma'am.
Nancy Richardson. Do people know when they move to our county that that their neighbors have the freedom to do whatever they want to with their property? Just like they have the freedom to do whatever they want to with their property? They can choose to go somewhere else if they aren't happy with that. Thank you.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
Very humble again. I just want to say that, most of this government crap, there's no common sense built into it. And I think you guys are probably smart enough to come up with something that would make most everyone happy. And when it comes to health issues and stuff like that, that's way different than having an old car sitting in your yard, you know? I mean, that's it.
I don't want to see a bunch of fences. That's more offensive to me than seeing a car here or a combine here over there. I don't want to build a fence around our community. And I don't like being politically correct and having to push it on all of us for a few. I agree with the safety and the health. That could be separate, but the blight thing, I think, is overboard.
Just, go ahead. That's my wife. I have to let her go first.
I am just, I guess, a housekeeping and just based on my ignorance, I guess. What is the best way to communicate with you all about things like this moving forward? Is it something just to go to the website, or just what is the best way of communication to keep?
Is a website?
How long has the website been up?
4 months. About 6 months. There is links to the supervisor, myself, the clerk, and the treasurer. Emails at supervisor@campbelltownship.org.
I don't view any of the board members as an enemy to Campbell Township or whatnot. I do understand that there's probably just a few that don't like a few people. But I do want to know, as we're all here, I want to know if that ordinance was to be voted the way that it's written on now by the board, what would your each individual's vote be for this ordinance the way that it's written right now? Would it be yes or a no for this ordinance to pass? Each individually, which one would you guys vote for?
I'll go first.
Sure.
Without all you people here, and we haven't had many people come to the meetings, as was stated, we're trying to make decisions, we're trying to put together something so that we have some material to work with when something comes up. Where it wasn't to go out and just start driving down the street and writing down addresses. It was to deal with complaints coming in. At that point, I was for it. We need something so we can do our jobs too when there's complaints. Hearing your stuff, we need to revamp it a little bit. I mean, I'm glad you're here. I was going to thank all of you for coming when this is finished tonight. We've needed this. We just haven't heard the voices. And it's been in the minutes, it's been different, there's a few people that have come. But it's just, this is the first actual audience we've had since I've been on. And I enjoy hearing and seeing and getting feedback from people.
Most of our feathers weren't ruffled then. So, go mess with the house.
This is draft 2.
Okay.
For an ordinance that's short, 2.25 pages, and yes, I was for it. And I was the one that was gonna, don't know you all, but the majority, I was gonna be the one, the enforcer, and it was gonna be a community. You can't be a dick all the time. You gotta start with some sugar and not vinegar, so.
Right. Okay, so there was 2 yes votes, and then what about the other?
I was not ready yet to vote. I was hoping we would get some more feedback.
Okay. The other board members?
Marcia and I were kind of feeling the same way, but I kind of agree with Brian because we haven't heard anything. We've heard more of the, we're tired of the junk, we want it fixed up. Because as a treasurer, I'm the only one with hours here. And people come in and they're badgering me, I'm tired of seeing the junk. And I know Brian's got calls, and we're like, I guess maybe we need to do something.
I'll leave you guys literally my phone number. I'm serious. I'll leave you guys my phone number, and I would be in a very peaceful way. I got nobody's problem with anybody here, but I will leave my number. If there's something that can be done with it, great, call me. If not.
But we've also had a junkyard. The junkyard
ordinance since
not ordinance, but it's a junkyard.
No, it was
Is it
an
an
ordinance in 56. Is that the correct year, Bill?
So,
I had to dig it out.
and quite frankly, I think how this all started coming up again, because we've been taking the complaints of the junk. And I think Brian and I have just kind of just taken the gruff and just, because we know how you guys feel. We all moved to Ionia County, I guess, for a reason.
Right.
I mean, I lived in a mobile home for 5 years before we built our house. You know, I lived in a trailer. So I know what it's like not to have the finest. So, getting back to the junk ordinance, I think Larry brought it up in May. He brought up something about the junk ordinance. And at that time, I think Dan said he really wasn't ready to do that because I lived with junk across the road from me for 30 years. I mean, tires, junk. I live on Robbins Road, and there was a pile of junk for 30 years that I looked at. But Larry happened to bring it up in May. Dan really wasn't prepared to go with the old one. We thought if we do one, we want to do a new one. We don't want to go with the 1956. So Brian just said, why don't we get a hold of the lawyer? If we do it, we want to do it right. Because law, you got to do it right. Because if you do it yourself, you could get yourself in a potential problem. So this is what, one come back, and we didn't really understand it right. And so Brian said, why don't you get a hold of the lawyer, see if you make it a little bit more layman's terms. So this is two. They made it a little bit more simpler, but I know Marcia and I, we were both kind of,
A little iffy on it.
yeah,
Okay.
but I thought, well, if people aren't gonna say anything about it, then maybe we need to pass it. Well,
'Cause we didn't
obviously
know.
tonight, thank you, and I agree with Dan, thank you for showing up, But I think I guess in the long haul, we have to do something.
When will be the next, like, if this is only just a draft, is there gonna be a meeting with the lawyers and so on and so forth to like discuss this? Is it an open forum with the community? Is it a closed forum? Or?
If every meeting is open,
okay.
I mean, and it's posted to, we weren't gonna have a special meeting. This has been this ordinance has been before us for, this is the third month, I think.
Okay.
And either this month or next month, we're gonna put it to rest, either pass it or move on and forget it. Or, I mean, another draft 3 is not out of the question.
Possibly put it on the table maybe for now instead of a vote?
Some boards, we could have just passed it and that would have been done with it. Because like I said, nobody was showing up. And we've had this in
We
the
didn't
minutes.
know.
We've had it in the minutes for 6 months on the website.
But if you don't know the website, then how are you supposed to know?
It's on
It
the sign and it was published in the paper.
Dennis Pepper, first time I've spoken tonight. So with that, I've been coming to this board meeting for almost a year now, because I'm interested in township government as my next thought after where I currently work at. And the only way to learn about government is to be a part of it. So I come to observe. And as Adam stated, I met him here. This is the first biggest crowd they've had, other than when all the firemen show up for a big report. So, as stated, with this, I'll make it simple. You have to be active, you have to do your part as a community member to take interest and show up. They weren't hiding anything. Was it going to be a civil infraction? Was it going to be a legal action? All of that discussion happened. Brian was the enforcer by default in the terminology because none of those 5 really wanted to be the enforcer. And if you go legal, every time you see the lawyer, everybody knows it's $150 and running. There's a cost to the township to do any action. No action is not good. I'm a builder by trade. I deal with codes constantly. We have codes to help us out. We have ordinances to help us be better as a community. As long as it's done right. Best thing I could offer to them is to table this proposal draft, revisit it, and work through to see where it goes. I've been on church boards where we've done that for 3 months, and we finally got to an action that we took. And then that time it was the right action. So they're not trying to hide anything from anybody.
I understand that, it just felt that way,
It
because a lot of people
feels that
didn't
way, but
know.
like I'm saying,
If I might add,
I'm done.
Okay, thanks, Don.
I see this as an opportunity, actually. An opportunity that brought this to light, neighbor helping neighbor, maybe a committee gets formed to help take care of these issues, and then if there's an enforcement that needs to happen, you know. If we really, the community really wants that, I fear that it'll be, oh, we don't want this regulation, so we're gonna ramp this up. And it's kind of like the lady whose husband dies. Everybody's there at the beginning, but 6 months down the road, it's just life and they forget about it. So if it's really gonna be kept up, it's gotta be something that's consistently kept up by the community. Otherwise, they're gonna wind up back in the same spot again.
Give everybody one more chance as we beat this dead horse to death. Barbara.
Did you consider putting it on the ballot, or you just wanted to do the ordinance?
Ballot, hopefully is what it would be.
Is,
Hope.
we have the authority to just pass it, the board.
But did you consider putting it on a ballot?
It was brought up more than once that was a possibility, but it's probably not the best way, but it's, I think it can be done, but I'm not sure. I mean,
I think that would be a better
Yes.
alternative.
Yeah.
I
Can you
agree.
Take
expound
the
on
pressure
that,
off.
the best way, or why it wouldn't be, why you feel it wouldn't be a good thing to do?
as you can see, the no votes always show up, whether it's taxes, zoning, whatever. It's not a true representation usually of the community's feelings.
Maybe it's because it isn't explained like it should be, and the way you have it written, it just doesn't really make any sense for the common person. I mean, you're not talking about any health issues or anything, like, anyway, like we were trying to get across, and what's blight to you might not be blight to them. So it's really not your choice to make. It should be everybody's. And that's why you don't want to vote on it, because you know it won't pass the way it's written. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Right on.
Yes, sir, in the back.
Yeah, I guess I have a question for the board, and either one of you can respond that has the answer, but are you legally required to address those complaints to the satisfaction of the complainant? Or would you be able to say, well, I'm sorry, that's the person's rights, or that's the person's prerogative on their property? Is it legally your obligation to address this?
Is you're talking about the ordinance as
far as the
the
blight
draft?
complaint, like what brought this about in the beginning, are you legally obligated to go down this path? Or
Until the blight complaint passes.
Even then,
yeah, like if you just get a complaint from
the way
somebody,
it was written, even then, it was a.
do you have to respond, or can you just say to that person, well,
Excuse me, me personally, I would go and, I don't want to use the term investigate, but go and look at the complaint. It's just like I do when somebody complains about the roads. Where do I go? That section of the road that I just got the complaint on, just see what the condition really is, because sometimes this gets blown out of proportion, you know?
okay, I guess I'm just saying, since it is private property and it isn't specifically the roads or township infrastructure that's being questioned, you know, it'd be like a, I don't know, it just seems a little arbitrary that private property would fall under that same jurisdiction as a township concern.
That's actually addressed in the 1945 state law.
It is,
They can do it.
is the first line is Public Act 344 of 1945 gives, just like it says, gives townships, villages, counties, the authority.
Okay, thank you.
Is that a state public act?
Yes.
Yes, yes. It's in section 1. Is the first sentence. Barb?
I think that was 1945. 1945.
That is a state
Yeah,
public act that allows ordinances
right.
concerning
But
blight.
nobody's updated these things, and we found that out, remember when we talked about the roads and why we were getting money for the roads, and that act existed from 1929, when the road commission came in. So a lot of these acts are kind of irrelevant because they've never been updated. You know, it just doesn't make sense. As far as it's like the taxable value of things, and it's true that your place is taxed a certain way, no matter who your neighbor is, and that's what it's gonna be. So the value of your place is gonna be what somebody wants to pay for it.
Correct.
Nobody might wanna live in my barn, but I do. But somebody might pay me an astronomical part to live there, even if Matt has his property there, which I like Matt's property, and sometimes I go over to Matt's property and I say, Matt, what you got over there? I can have, right? Say, can I have that wood? You got that barrel there. Hey, I can use that barrel. I go over and I talk to Matt all the time, don't I, Matt? You know, if you could, he might think my horses are a piece of crap or my cow is. But that's irrelevant because it's mine and it's not my property. But I respect Matt's property and what he has, and he can do what he wants with it. That's his right. You're going to take that all away because you want somebody that's going to sell their house, that wants to get an astronomical amount of money, that they think that Matt's property may decrease the value. I wanted Matt's property to decrease my value because I'm taxed up the ass for it. I want Matt to put more shit there so I can go to the tax tribunal and say, you know what, guys? Matt's got this property here and you want to assess me $350,000 on this barn. How do you figure that? It's not reasonable, it's not common sense. You've got these laws that from 1929 to 1945, and no one's updated them. No one gets in touch with the legislators, like we did with Julie Calley. Remember we had her come in? You know, it takes more than just, you know, everybody says, come to these meetings. It's not just about coming to these meetings, but it's the board members getting involved with the legislators at hand that can change and evolve and make things happen. And with that, I'm so I wish you all the best, but I don't want my rights taken away.
We need help lowering property values.
Thanks, Matt.
Yes, and thanks for all the comments and the time you spent in coming. Is there any other old business? We'll explore rodent health, safety issue. I guess I haven't, personally, I haven't seen one of those, a standalone one. I've seen it mentioned, I think. And thanks for pointing it out that that wasn't a definition or part of this one. Like I say, this is the second draft. There was questions, we all had questions on some lines or paragraphs. then, I guess, kind of settled. I mean, that it was plain, easily understood, but we'll tear it down, or if that's what you'd like to see done, I guess, or table it and let it die, I guess, totally. Personally, I think
Let it
that
die.
there is some safety and well-being that should be addressed, but we work for you, plain as that. We mentioned, so, Dave.
Are you asking that as a question?
Yes.
Okay. Dave Newman, my feeling on that is, I think you should table this for now. Look into a health and safety. I think kind of general feeling here is we don't want to be unsafe in it being taken over the rats of New York. We want to help a safe, healthy community. So I think looking into it that direction is something that's more of what the community wants. And I would ask you guys to go ahead with that format.
Wouldn't that be a health department issue?
Yes.
Isn't that already standing and available and really out of?
I don't know to what degree.
I'm not saying that they always enforce what we think needs to be enforced, but that, I'm not sure that could go into your hands. I think that would be more of the health department.
Well, my personal experience, not to rebuttal, but my personal experience, we had calls on household garbage bags. This date, I don't know how far away from my house, from a neighbor, where this took place, and I called. 6 months later, you couldn't tell that anything had been done. I don't know if they visited or not, I know they are on time constraints, just like every other county department.
But in cases like that, I wouldn't want to have your job. If you had to enforce it or whatever, but stuff like that shit needs to be looked into. And that in itself is a health thing, but you start involving the county health department in our business here, it's like farming it out to that lawyer, let him write it up and you say, yes, okay, it's okay. And it's not, so I think you guys are smart enough to take care of that.
Jim?
I guess my opinion is I'd like to see it table it next month, do some talking about it. The people that are here are concerned enough about it, should take a sit down, write some stuff on it, contact one of you members and say, or send you an email or saying this is an issue that we'd like to have covered. And yeah, there's something in here that I don't like, but I'm also sitting here trying to be objective. If I was living next to the door of the place that they're complaining about, what side of the fence would I be on at that moment? This is back here, I think there's a direction that needs to go. Something needs to be done. To me, it's a little excessive, I don't know. I guess it'd been interesting for me. I'm coming in the back door, but to see, I'd read the first draft, just to see where I think you guys are doing a good job. If people were that interested into it here, they should also come up with some ideas to say, hey, this is what we need instead of just sitting here and complaining about it.
Dennis?
Two things, and great comment, Mr. Steele, on that. Maybe it becomes an open committee within 3 from the board and 3 from the community, or 4. The other thing, in response to Dave Newman's comment, the health and safety thing, they may flip it back to that's a blight ordinance issue and not anything that we can touch from our standpoints of health and safety in Ionia. So there's, what is their definition? Health and safety, and that's all.
But I'll go and...
The health department may say that that's a blight ordinance issue.
If our board comes up with a Campbell Township health and safety, not only a resolution for that, not that we have, not the county, or have the county do it for us? Do we have our own? Can we have our own? That,
Can you supersede what is at an upper level? I don't know in government. That's that fine line of lawyers.
I'll go and talk with the county, the health department, and see where they stop and start, and,
Yeah.
where we can maybe continue on.
Great comment, but I mean, it's just,
Al,
that stirs something.
Something to take into mind with your health and ordinance of it, do remember the larger farms around here and what that does generate. There's not a farmer around here that has animals or waste and products of the animals that come with it. They have the coon, you have the possum, you have the rat, you have, and it's in a larger quantity than what you're looking at for a few junk places, I'm sure. But take that into that you're not gonna be picking on them under that blight ordinance with that health and safety, that you're gonna go in and try to sidestep that farmer too.
yes.
Just whatever direction it goes, I would really appreciate a public vote on it.
Yes,
Within
yes.
the township. I understand that you think that it'll just be naysayers that come, but the people that want it can also rally their troops and their reasoning. I think it'd be only fair to get a full gamut of representation that gives their input on whether or not they would like to see this put in effect.
Well, we're Americans because we want fair government.
That'd be a vote, I'd say.
Is there any other further up in this to come before us?
I would also support what you're saying, let it be a vote within the community, not just a board. I know you say the naysayers come up when they don't want things happening. But like you said, if the majority wants the ordinance, then the majority will come and say, yes, put it in. But if the majority that votes say no, then we should not have that ordinance.
It can't be a limited vote, though. It has to be a ballot issue on a regular election.
Right, exactly. That's what I was referring to, but yes.
The motion to adjourn, I guess, is in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll support it. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Passed. Motion, or meeting is adjourned, and thanks for coming and speaking your mind. And being respectful to everybody.
You tabled it?
Oh, yeah, what, no action is taken. I'm sorry, I mean, as we could have, and probably should have.